Yes, I'll come back to you. Then I'll ask, what have we done under the sun?
Well, hello everybody. This is Reagan, your RV Traveler's Voice, coming to you here from the front of Ethel, our 2020 Forest River Wildwood 29 V-Bud. And today we're going to talk about seals. No, not the animal kind. The seals that are around on various places on Ethel, and one of those is what we call the trim insert seal. And it's a fairly simple item to replace if you need to replace them, and we're going to show you how we replace some of ours today. We've had this unit for 5 years, and the seals have held up very well. Some have started to develop a few what we call micro cracks, and so before the trim seal actually breaks and lets potentially water get to the inside of that trim and to the bolts or the screws, we're going to replace that rubber insert in a few places, and I've got one place that has a gap on it. So we're going to give you an example and then just kind of show you how this works as far as a do-it-yourself job. Of course, if you don't feel you're up to this, certainly make sure you seek out a professional and get it taken care of. But we're going to show you what we're talking about here today. So just to give you an idea of what we're really talking about, it's this trim around the corners, and it's along the top, it's along the back as well. The inside of that, there's this rubber insert, and as you can see, ours is still pretty pliable. It's in good shape. I treat it with some seam sealer conditioner on a relatively frequent basis, so most of it is in good shape. There are a couple of areas that even in our storage, it sits out in the hot sun, and the sun doesn't do good with the rubber. So anyway, that's one example, and I'll show you another example area that we got to address. And this other area I'm going to address is actually what we're looking at here is the top seam along the back of our unit, and we have a little gap here that it is basically shrunk over time and pulled away. You see how much it has shrunk, and we're going to talk about that, how you can hopefully avoid some of that shrink when you're installing a new seal. But this is as it was from the factory. It eventually shrank, and the reason I think it shrank is because that edge there is that's the factory edge. It is a straight edge and not something that I didn't get it hung on a tree limb or some other obstacle that broke that apart. It's just shrunk over time, and so we're going to pull that out and replace it with another one. And what do you need to do this? Well, I've assembled here a number of the things that we may need. Don't know for sure until we get into the project, but a few things that we will likely need. Of course, we will need another roll of brand new seal insert, and you can see here this is a 100-foot roll off of Amazon, fairly inexpensive, and I've got it sitting out here in the sun. It's about 85-degree day, but I've got it sitting in the sun. You want to do this on a warm day, or at least warm up the seal material so it is pliable. As you see, I'm easily able to squeeze this together with my fingers. So the seam seal, you're going to need to remove a couple of screws, so screwdriver and the appropriate square bit, and some scissors and a blade to cut the appropriate lengths, as well as once we get up there, we'll figure out what type of seal we need depending upon the location that we're at. But most likely, we're going to need some of this GeoCell flexible sealant. I mean, you can use the flexible sealant of your choice. We have chosen GeoCell for today. And as well, in case where some of our seals are up on top of the roof and where they terminate, we may need some lap sealant. This I have here Everbond RV roof lap sealant, self-leveling sealant, and we may need that, so I've got some of that at the ready. And this other greenish can we have here, Acrosol, is an automotive body degreaser. So there may be some areas that we need to get some old adhesive off around where these seals are in order to get them loose and put the new ones back, make sure they stay. So we have a fast acting, safe on most paint and plastic automotive surfaces, leaves no film or residue, low VOC, the Acrosol, a can of Acrosol degreaser that we may use to clean things up before we put it all back together. And as well, in case we need to scrape away some of the old lap sealant where we need to do that, we've got a plastic scraper here as well, so we don't dig into our rubberized roof with any type of metal scraper. And of course, some work gloves and a dry cloth to use to help with cleaning. And last but not least, more than likely than not, depending upon where you're replacing this insert, you're going to need a ladder, and we have our folding extension ladder here as well. Just take your appropriate precautions when working on a ladder. And one of the first things we're going to do is we have to remove this end cap. It helps hold the seal in place. So this corner one has 2 screws. We're going to remove that first. And we have the same thing on the other end. We're going to remove these screws. As you'll notice around these, they have a lot of lap sealant, old lap sealant that's holding that cap on. So what we're going to try and do is just remove the screw and then pull the insert out and see if we can tuck that insert back in there on each end without having to disturb our old lap sealant and try and create a new watertight seal there. Stay tuned. And removing this insert is pretty straightforward. Just put your finger up behind it and it comes out just like that. And we got one side done. We'll just keep pulling it out. And there we go. And now that we've got the seal out, it is actually in good shape. It's not cracked or anything, but just shrunk. And you'll see that's what's supposed to have been on both ends. The screws have been run through the end, through that cap, and through the end of the insert to keep it there. And this is what it looks like on the one side where it was still tucked in. And this is the other side. And you can see that there's no screw hole there. So it was never really screwed in from the get-go. But we're gonna fix that this time. And using the old insert as a guide, we've measured the exact length of the old one. Of course, it was too short, so we're gonna cut a few inches longer, give us plenty of slack, and then we'll trim to fit once we get it up there. And another little pro tip, you'll see that when you're installing this, you got to make sure you install the correct side out. And what you see here right now, as it comes, it looks like you've got a couple little wings on either side and a flat side, but actually what you do to install it is you squeeze it together and it makes a little hat. So basically you install it with the hat out, so it'll be a little bit convexed on the outside and concaved on the inside for you geometry whizzes. And another tip for this process while you're there is to take this opportunity to check to see if you got any loose screws down through here. So I'll, before we put the seam insert in, I'm gonna take my drill driver and go down through here and make sure all these screws are tight. Make sure there's none that are rusted, and none appear to be rusted. If they are, you take them out and replace them. And then you put the insert in. And what we're gonna do is we've got a little bit of it started there. You see I've left myself a gap, but now I'm gonna push this back up behind the screw, and so we can run the screw through it and hold it in place. And then we'll continue the install. And now that we've got it started and pushed back past the hole, we're gonna put the screw right back in. and hold it in place this time. And now that we've got it going, it's just the patient and methodical process of squeezing it together all the way down to the other end as we insert it and cover the screws. And now we're back to the other end. I have marked a little notch there, and we're going to cut it off there and see if that is short enough. And if not, we'll trim until it slides fully in past the screw and doesn't leave any bubbles. All right, we got it trimmed appropriately and inserted, and the screw is going to catch that end to keep it from shrinking. And as you can see on both ends, there's still a gap right here. We've got it covered on all sides, but I'm going to run a bead of non-sagging sealant right down through here just to keep the water from intruding in there. Even if it does intrude through there, it should flow down and right down and out this channel, but we don't want to give it that opportunity. So we're going to put a bead of sealant here after I wipe it up, make sure there's no dirt there, and then we'll get it sealed up on this end. And we'll do the same to this other end. And we're going to put a little bit down through here. And we smooth it out with a little soapy water covered finger and made it look nice, so that should hold the water out. And I put a little geocell on that top screw as well, since we have removed it. Put it back in. Now we're just going to do the other side, and this 8-foot section will be done. And as part of the process, I'm checking all the other seals, and actually they're in good shape. I think mainly because the preventive maintenance that I do on them with this slide out seal. The rubber is all in good shape after this is our 6th season, and so just periodically treating that rubber with some good sealant or seal cleaner and protectant. It kind of does the trick. And also while you're up here on the roof, and that's why I also had the lap sealant, I put a few more beads of lap sealant in a few places just to make sure we didn't have anything that was starting to look like it was a crack that doesn't turn into a crack. So we've pretty much finished our job here, and we'll be ready for the camp out. Well, there you have it. We have our seal fully replaced, and the time for that 8-foot section, probably total elapsed time of actually working on it was no more than 15 minutes. And basically it's a similar process for any of the other seals you have of similar channel and groove type. And now you know the tools you need, and just need to make sure you measure the old strip to make sure you order the right width. They come generally in 3/4 inch, 7/8 inch, 1 inch, and 1 1/4, various dimensions wide. And mine was a 1-inch strip for this particular rig. And so the rest of the time was spent just going around doing the preventative maintenance again on those seals with my rubber conditioner. And all the other seals are still in great shape after 5 seasons and lots of time out camping. So we'll see you down the road. Happy camping.